The phone buzzed in my pocket as I stood in the bustling streets of New York City, and my sister's message stopped me cold. Mom says you're not welcome at her 60th. Your choices are too much for her to handle. But that didn't stop me from deciding right then and there to throw the biggest surprise party of her life anyway. I slipped the phone back into my pocket and headed straight to the cafe where Jasper was waiting, my heart pounding with a mix of anger and determination. Jasper, my boyfriend of 3 years, looked up from his laptop as I approached, his light brown hair catching the sunlight streaming through the window. "What's wrong, Rhett?" he asked, his voice full of concern. I sat down and told him everything, the words tumbling out in a rush. How my mother had cut me off 5 years ago when I finally came out to the family during a Thanksgiving dinner in our small Ohio hometown. The way she had stood up, her face pale, and said that she couldn't accept this, that it went against everything she believed in. The silence that followed from my father and brother, the tears from my sister who tried to mediate but ultimately sided with tradition. Since then, I'd built a life in New York as a graphic designer, found love with Jasper, a teacher who understood the pain of hiding who you are. But the wound never healed. "I'm doing it," I said to Jasper. "I'm planning the party, even if she doesn't want me there. Maybe this will show her that my love for her hasn't changed." Jasper nodded, squeezing my hand under the table. "I'll help you. But are you sure this won't make things worse?" We spent the next hour brainstorming ideas. The party would be at the old family home, with caterers from the local diner she loved, decorations in her favorite colors of blue and silver, and even a live band playing the old country songs she used to sing along to. I reached out to my aunt, who was sympathetic, to get the guest list without alerting Mom. It was risky, but the idea of seeing her smile again after all these years drove me forward. As we walked home that evening, Jasper and I talked about our own future, how one day we hoped to have a family that accepted us fully. The next few days were a blur of emails and phone calls. I booked the venue secretly, arranged for flowers to be delivered, and even contacted old friends from high school who knew me before the rejection. Some were supportive, others hesitant, but the excitement built. Meanwhile, at work, I found it hard to focus, my mind constantly drifting to the potential confrontation. What if Mom saw me and turned away again? What if the family sided with her and asked me to leave? Jasper was my rock, reminding me that this was about closure, not just the party. On the weekend, we drove to a party supply store, picking out banners and balloons, laughing as we imagined the look on Mom's face. But deep down, I knew there could be misunderstandings. My brother, Mark, had always been the golden child, the one who followed Dad's footsteps into the family business. He might see this as me trying to steal the spotlight. And then there was the secret I'd kept from Jasper, a letter from Mom 2 years ago that I never replied to, begging me to come home and fix myself. I hadn't told him because it hurt too much. As the planning intensified, I felt the weight of the decision. This party could either heal or break us further. But I was committed. By the end of the week, the invitations were sent out under my aunt's name, and the date was set for 2 weeks later. I booked flights for Jasper and me to Ohio, ready to face whatever came next. The night before we left, Jasper held me close. "Whatever happens, I'm here. You're not alone in this." His words gave me strength, but the anxiety lingered. Arriving in Ohio, the familiar sights of the small town brought back memories of childhood bike rides and family barbecues. We checked into a hotel to avoid suspicion and met with my aunt to finalize details. She warned me that Mom had been talking about how she missed me but couldn't accept the lifestyle. "Be careful, Rhett," she said. "This might be the shock she needs." The preparations began in earnest. We hired a local decorator to transform the backyard into a magical space with string lights and tables set for 50 guests. Jasper helped with the menu, choosing Mom's favorite dishes like pot roast and apple pie. As we worked, I felt a sense of purpose I hadn't in years. But then the first misunderstanding arose when my sister called, confused why Aunt was organizing it. I had to lie, saying it was a group effort. The lie sat heavy, but it was necessary. Days passed in a flurry of activity. I avoided contact with Mom, letting the surprise build. Jasper and I stole moments alone, our love a quiet anchor amid the chaos. One evening, as we sat on the hotel balcony, he asked about my childhood, and I shared stories of how Mom used to read to me every night. "She loved me once," I said. "Maybe she can again." Jasper smiled. "With this party, you're giving her the chance." But as the party day approached, the pressure mounted. My brother texted me unexpectedly, asking if I was coming to town. I didn't reply, fearing he'd ruin the surprise. The night before the party, we did a final check. Everything was perfect. The cake with her favorite flowers, the photo slideshow I secretly compiled with pictures from better times, including one of me and Jasper that I decided to include at the end. It was risky, but it was the truth. As I lay in bed that night, Jasper's arm around me, I wondered if this was the right decision. The consequences could be huge, but turning back wasn't an option. The morning of the party, we arrived early to set up, hearts racing. Guests started arriving, whispering about the surprise. My aunt kept Mom busy with a fake errand. When the moment came, as Mom walked into the backyard, the cheers erupted. Her face lit up with shock and joy at first. "What is this?" she gasped. I stepped forward. "Happy birthday, Mom. I planned this for you." Her eyes met mine, and for a moment there was warmth. But then she saw Jasper beside me, holding my hand, and the smile faltered slightly. The party continued, laughter filling the air, but I knew the real test was coming. Guests mingled under the string lights, clinking glasses and sharing stories from years past, while the band played soft melodies that carried across the lawn. Mom moved through the crowd like she was in a dream, hugging old neighbors and laughing at jokes from her bridge club friends. But I could see the questions in her eyes every time she glanced my way. Jasper stayed close, his presence steady, helping serve drinks and making small talk with people who didn't know our story. "You did good, Rhett," he whispered during a quiet moment by the punch bowl. "Look at her. She's happy." I wanted to believe him, but the tension was building like a storm on the horizon. My sister pulled me aside near the rose bushes, her voice low and urgent. "You shouldn't have brought him here, not like this. Mom's been asking about you for months, but seeing you two together, it's too much too soon." I felt the old anger rise, the same frustration that had pushed me to leave Ohio in the first place. This is who I am, and he's part of my life. If she can't handle that, then maybe this party was a mistake. But even as I said it, I knew I didn't mean it. The decision to come back had been mine alone, a final attempt to bridge the gap that 5 years of silence had widened. Jasper joined us, sensing the strain, and offered to take a walk with my sister to give me space. Alone for a minute, I watched Mom cut her cake, the candles flickering in the evening breeze, and remembered the last time we'd celebrated together. Back then I was still pretending, dating girls to keep the peace, smiling through dinners where Dad talked about grandkids and Mom planned my future around the family business. Coming out had shattered that illusion, and now here I was, forcing reality back into her world. A cousin I hadn't seen since high school approached, clapping me on the shoulder. "Good to see you, man. Heard you made it big in the city. Who's the guy?" His tone was casual, but I caught the undercurrent of curiosity mixed with judgment. I introduced Jasper properly, watching faces shift around us. Some smiled politely, others looked away. The misunderstandings were starting already. Later, as the sun dipped lower, my brother Mark cornered me by the garage. "What the hell, Rhett? You show up after all this time with him and expect everyone to just clap? Mom's been through enough." His words stung because part of me knew he was right about the timing, but the betrayal in his voice hurt more. We'd been close once, building tree forts and sharing secrets late at night. Now he stood there, arms crossed, embodying the expectations I'd walked away from. I explained the planning, how I'd poured my savings into making it perfect, how Jasper had helped every step. Mark shook his head. You always did things your way. Just don't break her heart again. He walked off, leaving me with the weight of his warning. Jasper found me moments later, pulling me into a quiet hug behind the shed. They're scared of change, that's all. But you're showing them love doesn't have to look one way. His words soothed the ache, reminding me why I'd fought so hard for this relationship. As the band struck up Mom's favorite waltz, couples took the floor, and I saw her watching from the sidelines, a soft expression on her face that gave me hope. I led Jasper out to dance, not caring who stared. For those few minutes, under the glowing lights, it felt like the family I'd always wanted was possible. But as the song ended, Mom approached slowly, her eyes glistening. Rhett, thank you for this. It's beautiful. She didn't mention Jasper, didn't reach out, but the fact that she spoke to me at all was a crack in the wall. The night wore on with toasts and stories, each one pulling at the threads of our shared history. I introduced Jasper to more relatives, fielding awkward questions with patience I didn't know I had. Inside, though, the psychological toll was mounting. Every forced smile from an uncle, every whispered conversation I caught fragments of, reminded me of the price of being myself. Jasper noticed my fatigue and suggested we step inside for water. In the kitchen, away from the crowd, he kissed my forehead. You're the bravest person I know. Whatever happens tomorrow, we face it together. That promise anchored me as we returned to the party. The slideshow began then, projected on a sheet hung between trees, photos flickering to life with laughter from the guests. Baby pictures, school plays, vacations at the lake. Then the final image appeared. Jasper and me on our first anniversary, arms around each other in Central Park. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. The music stopped for a beat, and in that silence, I saw the conflict in her eyes deepen. The party continued, but something had shifted. Guests offered polite goodbyes as the hour grew late, leaving the three of us, Mom, Jasper, and me standing in the emptying yard. She turned to me, voice trembling. I need time, Rhett. This is a lot. Her words weren't angry, but they carried the weight of years of disappointment. As she walked back into the house, I felt the first real crack in my hope. Jasper squeezed my shoulder. She spoke to you. That's a start. But I knew the real consequences were just beginning. We helped clean up in silence, the glowing lights now seeming dimmer against the reality settling in. By midnight, the backyard was empty, chairs stacked, tables cleared, and the weight of my decision pressed down harder than ever. Driving back to the hotel, Jasper drove while I stared out the window at the dark Ohio fields. Did I push too far? I asked quietly. He didn't answer right away, letting the question hang. The next morning brought more tension when my sister called early. Mom didn't sleep. She's been crying since you left. What were you thinking with that photo? The misunderstanding had snowballed overnight. I tried explaining it was my truth, but her frustration mirrored Mom's. Jasper made coffee in the hotel room, listening as I paced. We can't fix everything in one night, he said. But you showed up. That's the sacrifice that matters. His loyalty steadied me, but the psychological strain was real. I decided to visit Mom alone that afternoon, leaving Jasper at the hotel. The drive to the house felt endless, memories flashing with every mile. When I knocked, she opened the door slowly, her eyes red. Come in, she said, no smile this time. We sat at the kitchen table where so many family meals had happened. I told her about my life, the job I loved, the friends who'd become family, and how Jasper made me feel seen. She listened, hands folded, but when I mentioned the future we were building, she looked away. I love you, Rhett, but I don't know how to love this part of you. The words hit like a wave, reopening old wounds. I left with a heavy heart, the party a bittersweet memory now. Back at the hotel, Jasper waited with open arms. We talked late into the night about boundaries and patience, about the growth that comes from facing hard truths. The following days blurred with calls from relatives, some praising the gesture, others questioning my motives. A close friend from high school reached out, confessing he'd always suspected and was proud. Those small wins kept me going. Yet the rifts were widening. Mark stopped by the hotel unannounced, demanding I leave town before I caused more pain. "She's my mother too," he said, "and you're tearing her apart." The betrayal in his voice echoed the family divide. Jasper intervened calmly, suggesting we all needed space. As the week ended, I realized the party had been a turning point, but not the happy ending I'd imagined. Mom's texts were short, polite, but distant. The decision to include Jasper publicly had forced everyone to confront realities they'd avoided. I booked our return flights with mixed feelings, knowing the journey home to New York would carry new questions. Jasper packed beside me, his quiet strength a reminder that love meant standing firm. "We'll figure it out," he said. But as the plane lifted off, I wondered if my choice had cost more than I could afford. Landing back in New York felt like stepping into a different world. The skyscrapers a sharp contrast to Ohio's quiet fields. Yet the emotional baggage traveled with us. Jasper and I unpacked in silence at first, the weight of the party lingering like fog. Work resumed, but my focus wavered as emails from family trickled in. Aunt sent photos of the cleanup, praising how beautiful it had been, but a note from Mom arrived separately. A simple card thanking me for the effort without mentioning Jasper or the slideshow. The omission stung, highlighting the ongoing rift. I showed it to Jasper over dinner one night in our tiny apartment. "She's trying," he said, ever the optimist. "Give her time." But time felt like a luxury when every unanswered question gnawed at me. Days turned into a routine of calls and reflections. My sister texted updates. Mom had started seeing a counselor, something she'd never done before. "Your party shook her," she wrote. "She's questioning things she never did." That spark of hope pushed me to send Mom a longer message, sharing a memory of us baking cookies when I was 10, signing it with love. Her reply came 2 days later. "I remember. Thank you." Short, but it was something. Meanwhile, at the design firm, a big project deadline loomed, forcing me to channel the turmoil into sketches and campaigns. Jasper balanced his teaching with supporting me, cooking meals and listening to my late-night doubts. One weekend we visited Central Park, the same spot from the slideshow photo, and he proposed a small getaway to clear our heads. "Just us, no family drama," he suggested. We booked a cabin upstate, driving out under clear skies. The fresh air helped, hikes through woods reminding me of simpler times. Around the campfire, Jasper shared his own coming-out story, how his parents had eventually embraced him after years of distance. "It didn't happen overnight," he said, "but love won." His words inspired me to draft another letter to Mom, this one more vulnerable, explaining how the rejection had shaped me but hadn't broken my love for her. I mailed it before we left the cabin. Back in the city, life accelerated. A misunderstanding arose when Mark called, accusing me of pressuring Mom through the letters. "She's upset again, Rhett. Back off." The conversation escalated, old resentments surfacing about how I'd left him to handle family expectations alone. I hung up frustrated, turning to Jasper for perspective. "He's protecting her the only way he knows," Jasper reasoned. We spent the evening talking through boundaries, deciding I wouldn't push but wouldn't hide either. Weeks passed with small progress. Mom sent a package homemade jam and a note about the garden. No mention of acceptance, but the gesture felt like a bridge. I replied with photos of my latest design work, keeping it light. Jasper encouraged the exchanges, his loyalty unwavering even when his own family asked about our plans. The pressure from society crept in too, subtle comments at work about settling down, or friends questioning why I hadn't visited home more. One evening at a gallery opening, an old college buddy pulled me aside. "Heard about the party. Bold move, man. How's your mom taking it?" The question opened old wounds, but discussing it aloud helped me process the psychological impact. Jasper and I grew closer through it all, our relationship deepening with shared vulnerability. We talked about moving in together officially, maybe even adopting someday if acceptance came. But the turning point arrived unexpectedly in a voicemail from my sister. "Mom found the old letter you never answered. She's been reading it every night. Call her Rhett. She's ready to talk." Heart racing, I dialed immediately. Mom answered on the second ring, voice soft. "I was wrong to push you away like that. The party showed me what I've missed." Tears welled as we spoke for an hour, navigating awkward silences and honest admissions. She didn't fully understand yet, but she wanted to try. Jasper celebrated with me that night, toasting to small victories. Yet beneath the relief, I sensed unresolved tensions. Mark remained distant, and friends back home whispered about divided loyalties. The decision to plan the party had set off ripples I couldn't control. As summer turned to fall, I planned a return visit, this time with Jasper openly invited. Mom agreed hesitantly. The flight felt different, hope mixing with caution. Arriving, the house looked the same, but the atmosphere had shifted. Mom greeted us at the door, hugging me tightly before nodding at Jasper. "Come in, both of you." Dinner was tentative at first, conversations circling safe topics like weather and work. Then Mom asked about our life in New York, listening as Jasper described his classroom. The evening ended without fireworks, but with a promise of more talks. Back at the hotel, Jasper and I reflected on the growth. "She's trying because you showed up first," he said. The next day brought a walk in the park where Mom opened up about her fears, how my truth challenged her faith and community standing. I shared how hiding had nearly broken me. Tears flowed, but no anger. Felt like progress. However, a secret emerged when my aunt pulled me aside. "Your brother knows about the letter and thinks you hid it to manipulate her. He's angry." The revelation added layers to the family dynamics. I confronted Mark privately, explaining my silence came from pain, not strategy. He softened slightly, admitting his own struggles with change. Jasper mediated when tensions rose, his calm presence preventing a full rupture. As the visit ended, Mom waved us off with a genuine, if weary, smile. "Come back soon." On the plane, I held Jasper's hand, grateful for the path we'd taken. But the psychological scars remained, reminding me that acceptance was a journey, not a destination. Friends in New York celebrated the update, yet I knew more challenges awaited. A work promotion required travel, pulling me away just as family bonds strengthened. Jasper supported the decision, but distance tested us. Calls with Mom grew regular, filled with questions about my life. She even asked about Jasper's hobbies, a small but meaningful step. One night she admitted the party had forced her to see me as an adult making his own choices. "I don't want to lose you again," she said. Those words healed parts of me I thought were broken. Yet the rifts with Mark lingered, occasional texts revealing his internal conflict. Jasper suggested a family dinner next visit to bridge it. Planning began quietly, another decision layered on the first. The cycle of effort continued, each action carrying potential consequences. Through it all, our love remained the constant, proving that true connection could weather storms. As holidays approached, I felt ready for whatever came next. Holiday lights twinkled across New York as Jasper and I decorated our apartment, the warmth a contrast to the cooling family ties back home. Mom's calls had become weekly rituals, each one peeling back another layer of misunderstanding. She asked about Jasper's students, even sent a care package with knitted scarves for both of us. The gesture felt monumental, yet Mark's silence loomed like a shadow. I decided to invite him to join our next Ohio trip, hoping the season of giving would soften edges. Jasper agreed, his faith in second chances inspiring. We flew out the week before Christmas, the airport buzzing with travelers carrying wrapped gifts and hopeful smiles. Mom met us at the house with homemade cookies, her embrace warmer than before. "I've been thinking a lot," she said over coffee. The conversation flowed easier now, touching on her church group and how some members had shared stories of their own gay children. It wasn't full acceptance, but curiosity replaced judgment. Mark arrived for dinner that evening, stiff at first but thawing as Jasper shared teaching anecdotes. The meal passed with laughter, the first in years without tension. Afterward, Mom pulled out old photo albums, pointing to pictures of us as kids. "You were always so kind, Rhett. I see that in you still." Her words carried forgiveness, easing the guilt I'd carried since the party. Jasper and I took a walk afterward, snow crunching underfoot. "This is what you fought for," he said, kissing me under a street lamp. The moment felt cinematic, bright against the winter dark. But secrets had a way of surfacing. The next day, my sister confessed she'd told Mark about the unopened letter years ago, framing it as my avoidance. The revelation sparked a confrontation in the living room. Mark accused me of playing games, his voice rising until Mom intervened. "Enough. We're all learning here." Her stance surprised everyone, including me. The turning point came that night when she sat us down, admitting the party had broken something in her, not in anger, but in regret. I smiled that night because I saw my son happy. But then I realized how long I'd denied myself that joy. Her honesty opened floodgates. We talked until dawn, Jasper adding gentle insights from his experiences. Mark listened, finally nodding. I was scared too. For all of us, reconciliation felt close yet fragile. Christmas morning brought gifts and toasts, the family table fuller emotionally. Mom laughed at Jasper's jokes, a sound I'd missed. As we exchanged presents, I slipped her a framed photo from the party, capturing her surprised face. She held it close. This changed everything. The visit ended on a high note, with promises of visits both ways. Back in New York, life settled into a new rhythm. Work thrived, and Jasper proposed a quiet commitment ceremony for spring. I accepted, heart full. We shared the news with Mom via video call. She paused, then smiled. "I'd like to be there." The words meant the world. Planning began, small and intimate, with family invited. Misunderstandings still arose. Mark questioned the rush, but open talks resolved them. One evening, Mom called alone. "Rhett, I'm proud of the man you've become. It took me too long to say it." Tears came, healing old wounds. Jasper and I celebrated with dinner out, toasting the future. Yet society pressed in. At a company event, colleagues asked about my friend Jasper, forcing me to correct gently. The microaggressions reminded me of the broader fight. Jasper's school faced similar challenges with parent concerns. We supported each other through it. As spring bloomed, the ceremony approached. Mom arrived early, helping with flowers, her presence a full circle from the party rejection. Mark and sister came too, tensions gone. The day was perfect, vows exchanged under cherry blossoms in a park. Mom hugged us both afterward. "You two have something real." Her acceptance, though gradual, felt earned. The celebration continued into evening, stories shared around tables. But as night fell, Mom pulled me aside. "The party started this, but your courage finished it." "Thank you." Her eyes shone with emotion. Jasper joined, the three of us in a quiet moment. The weeks after brought deeper bonds. Family visits increased, Mom even joining us in New York for a weekend. Mark called regularly now, sharing business updates and asking advice. The growth was tangible. Yet I reflected on the sacrifices, the years lost, the emotional toll. Jasper reminded me it was worth it. One quiet night, as we lay in bed, he whispered, "You changed everything by showing up." His words encapsulated the journey. Summer brought new adventures, travels with Mom to the coast, laughter replacing old silences. The family dynamic had transformed, proving love could evolve. Friends noticed the change, asking for the secret. I shared pieces of the story, inspiring others. Through it all, the initial decision to plan the party stood as the catalyst. It had tested friendships, exposed betrayals in silence, and forced confrontations with truth. But the outcome was a family stronger for the honesty. As autumn leaves fell again, I felt at peace. Jasper and I built routines, dreaming bigger. Mom visited often, her smiles genuine. The road had been long, filled with psychological battles and unexpected turns. But standing here, hand in hand with the man I loved and the mother who'd found her way back, I knew the risk had paid off. Life moved forward, brighter for the struggles. The first anniversary of the party arrived quietly, marked by a simple dinner with Mom visiting from Ohio. She brought photos from the event, now framed on her mantle. "I look at them every day," she said, voice steady. Jasper cooked pasta, the kitchen filled with easy conversation about her garden and our latest projects. The evening felt normal, the kind of family time I'd craved. Yet beneath the surface, old echoes lingered. Mark joined via video, raising a glass from home. "To new beginnings," he toasted. His support had grown steadily, the rifts mended through consistent effort. After dinner, Mom and I walked the block, streetlights casting long shadows. "That party was your way of saying you wouldn't let me go," she reflected. "It forced me to see what I'd lost." Her admission carried no blame, only gratitude. I squeezed her arm, the bond solid now. Jasper waited inside, patient as always. The next morning, we planned a group trip for summer, something neutral like a lake cabin. Excitement built as details formed. But a curveball came when an old high school friend messaged, revealing he'd heard rumors back home about the party causing Mom stress. The misunderstanding reignited briefly until I clarified with calls. Mom laughed it off. "People talk. We know the truth." Her resilience amazed me. Work brought a promotion, requiring more travel, but Jasper and I navigated it with calls and visits. Mom offered advice from her own marriage days, bridging generations. The psychological growth was evident in all of us. One weekend, Jasper and I hosted Mom for a Broadway show, her first in decades. She beamed during intermission. "You boys have shown me a different world." The words healed remaining scars. Backstage, she hugged us tightly. The trip home after felt lighter. As seasons shifted, we faced a minor betrayal when a distant relative posted old photos online with snide comments about lifestyle choices. Mark shut it down quickly, defending us publicly. The incident strengthened family unity. Jasper and I celebrated our second anniversary with a quiet vow renewal, Mom attending in person. Her toast brought tears. "Love like yours teaches us all." The gathering was small but profound. Life continued with routines and surprises. A work colleague came out after hearing my story, crediting the courage. Sharing it felt like paying forward the acceptance. Mom started a small support group in Ohio, subtle but meaningful. The journey had come full circle. Yet one afternoon, a call changed the tone. Mom's voice trembled. "I need to tell you something." The party. It wasn't just surprise. It made me confront years of fear. I smiled that night, but inside, I broke a little realizing how wrong I'd been. I haven't smiled the same since. Rhett. The guilt stays, even with the love. Her confession stunned me. The decision to plan the party, meant to heal, had left her with lasting regret she couldn't shake. We talked for hours, Jasper listening supportively. "It's okay to feel both," he said later. The revelation added depth to our bond. I flew out alone the next week, sitting with Mom on the porch where the party had happened. "I wouldn't change my choice," I told her. "But I see the cost now." She nodded, eyes wet. "Neither would I. It brought you back." The conversation mended the last cracks. Mark joined for dinner, the three of us sharing openly. Growth continued. Back in New York, Jasper and I reflected on the full arc. The misunderstandings, secrets, betrayals, and sacrifices had forged something unbreakable. Family dinners via video became regular, laughter genuine. The emotional climax had passed, leaving quiet strength. As winter approached again, we planned Christmas together in Ohio. Mom's house glowed with lights, the backyard now a memory garden with a plaque from the party. "For second chances," she said. The holiday was perfect, filled with stories and plans for the future. Jasper fit seamlessly, his presence no longer questioned. The journey of self-discovery had led to acceptance not just from others, but within myself. I no longer doubted my place. Life moved with purpose. Friends asked for advice on their own paths, and I shared openly. The story had ripples beyond us. Mom visited more, her smiles returning gradually, though she admitted the deeper change. I smiled differently now, wiser. Her words carried peace. Jasper and I built a home filled with that same wisdom. The original decision stood as proof that showing up, even when rejected, could rewrite futures. Through every challenge, love endured. The years ahead promised more, but the foundation was solid. Spring brought renewal, with Jasper and I adopting a rescue dog that Mom instantly adored during her visits. The puppy's energy filled our apartment with joy, mirroring the lightness in family ties. Mom knitted tiny sweaters for him, laughing at his antics over video calls. Mark even suggested a family pet for his own home, the connection deepening. Work stabilized, allowing more time for what mattered. One evening, as we sat on the balcony watching city lights, Jasper turned to me. "Remember that first text from your sister? Look how far we've come." His reflection summed up the path. Mom arrived for a long weekend, the four of us, including the dog, exploring museums and parks. She shared updates on her support group, now helping other parents. "Your party started my healing," she said quietly one afternoon in the park. The acknowledgement felt complete, yet the lingering effect remained. She smiled freely now, but with a thoughtful depth, the guilt transformed into quiet wisdom. We accepted it as part of the growth. Back home after her departure, Jasper and I planned our future wedding, small and meaningful with full family support. Invitations went out, including to high school friends who'd witnessed the early struggles. The ceremony in Ohio that summer united everyone under the same backyard lights from years before. Vows echoed promises of love and acceptance. Mom walked me down the aisle, her hand steady. "I'm so proud," she whispered. Mark stood as best man, his speech highlighting brotherhood rediscovered. The reception danced late into the night, the band playing familiar tunes. As confetti fell, I caught Mom's eye. She raised a glass, smile genuine yet layered with the journey's lessons. The party had been the beginning. This was the culmination. Friends toasted to courage, the air thick with celebration. Jasper and I stole a moment alone, the glowing lights mirroring that first surprise. "We did it," he said. The years of misunderstandings and secrets had forged unbreakable trust. Betrayals and silence were forgotten, sacrifices honored. Psychological scars faded into strength. As guests departed, Mom hugged us tightly. "Thank you for not giving up on me." Her words sealed the arc. Driving to the airport the next day, the family waved from the porch, the house a symbol of transformed lives. Back in New York, married life settled beautifully. The dog greeted us daily, work thrived, and calls with Mom flowed easily. Mark visited once, bringing his family for a weekend of bonding. The acceptance was full. Reflecting late one night, I realized the shocking choice to plan the party despite rejection had reshaped destinies. It forced confrontations, revealed truths, and built a future rooted in honesty. Jasper slept beside me, the partner who'd stood through every storm. Life felt complete, yet the story lingered in quiet ways. Mom's occasional pauses in conversation reminded us of the cost, her smiles carrying extra meaning. We embraced it as proof of real change. Friends shared how our tale inspired their own steps toward acceptance. The ripple effect continued. As another year turned, we gathered in Ohio for Mom's birthday again. This time openly planned together. The backyard bloomed with memories, laughter echoing. She blew out candles surrounded by us all. To family, she toasted. The moment was perfect. Driving home afterward, Jasper asked what I was thinking. How one decision changed everything. He smiled, knowing. The journey had taught us that love demands action, even when it hurts. Growth comes from facing consequences head-on. Our bond, families rebuilt ties, and personal peace stood as testament. True or false? A parent's love should always come with acceptance, no matter the cost to their beliefs.